let's just get started. Kill me. What up, my channel? Welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie E. This is Ravenclaw, and you're watching. So I filmed a books based on legends and myths video for Mythathon, talking about all the books that I have personally read and can recommend that are based on myths. But y'all did say on Twitter that you wanted to see a list of all of the books on my TBR that are based off of myths, legends, gods, goddesses, deities, etc. So I went through my Goodreads TBR of 174 books, each and every book on my Goodreads TBR and the shelf behind me to select the books that included lore, legends, gods, or goddesses. And I'm gonna be talking to you about all of those books in this video. Now, the criteria for a book to make it into this video was that it had to be based on a myth or legend that exists in our world, or have its own legend or mythology that the author created specifically for the story. I allowed it this way because all myths first start as a story in someone's imagination, and that is how they become legends over time. So it's actually really wild to think about how some of these books that we're reading right now that were created like last year, this year, a couple years ago, in 100 years, they might be the new Little Mermaid or be part of kids' bedtime stories every night. Unfortunately, I had a lot of books that met this criteria, a total of 34 books on my Goodreads shelf and 4 physical copies.
That's 38 books.
I am going to be talking about these books literally as quick as possible. I'm gonna try and lightning fire them out because I really wanna see how short I can get this video. This is gonna be a challenge for me because you know that I am a wordy birdie. I love my big, lengthy descriptions and synopsis, and it's gonna be really, really hard for me to condense all of these 38 books in order to make this video watchable, but I would love it if you would comment down below and tell me in the future, are you willing to watch like these big videos, like these big TBR videos or recommendations videos, or would you prefer that I did split them into 2? Because it's like, if I split it into 2, are you really gonna watch it?
You say you are, but are you though?
So the last thing before we get right into it, I don't know why I did that and I hate myself for it.
Anyway,
I want to do something different with this video. I want you to build a TBR as you hear me describe these books. So any of these books that you want me to read and review first, make a note, and at the end of the video, you can give me a hopefully short, concise list of the books that you want me to prioritize. That appear the most frequently in the comments are the ones that I will read first. There are some hyped popular books in here, but I tried really hard to find books that aren't being widely discussed already. The first book is a YA fantasy titled Beasts of the Frozen Sun by Jill Criswell. This is number 1 in the Frozen Sun saga, where a doomed love affair has spiked a war between gods and humans. Mira is a young descendant of the gods with the ability to read people's souls through touch. But when she rescues and falls in love with a beautiful warrior named Raker, who comes from an opposing clan, she brings down the wrath of the ancient gods and dragons, endangering everyone that she knows and loves. This book just got released a few days ago. It promises gods, powerful women, warriors, clans, dragons, forbidden love, an epic battle for freedom, and lots of action scenes. I'm ready. Next we have Serpents Dove by Shelby Mahurin. This is either a fantasy duology or a fantasy trilogy. I'm not sure which, but Naya of Naya Reads and Smiles has been raving about this book, and anything that she loves, I automatically have to pick up. On top of that, this book is all about a character named Louise who has forsaken magic and currently lives off of whatever scraps that she can find. Louise has to abandon her witch's coven where witches are being burned alive. There's a forbidden romance, and there's a lot of war between the witches and the church. I mean, it's a witch and a witch hunter love story, and I'm trash for it. Next book is a darker vibe because you know I love me some horror. The book is titled Unhallowed Graves by Nuso Ono. Jam-packed with Nigerian folklore such as the water mirror of death, the Ogbanje, which are freshwater mermaids, and the legend of Alusi Onwu, which is where the spirits of the dead rise up to walk amongst the earth. This is a collection of 3 bone-chilling stories about those that have passed on coming back and enacting their revenge on those who have wronged them. I love a good revenge story because I'm a vengeful
avocado.
Ono is supposed to be a master of horror. I love me a creepy book, so I'm really excited for this one. And we have The Wolf of Oreñaro, which is an epic YA fantasy from a Filipino author. This is also known as the Bitch Queen series because it features a queen who is very no-nonsense, her way or the highway, and honestly, that's the way a queen should be. This book came out early last year, and it involves a fallen city and wild dragons. When Princess Talian is married off to Prince Rael, she becomes the most powerful woman in the queendom. But when Rael suddenly departs, leaving leaving her in complete control of the kingdom. She receives a message indicating that he may be missing, and when she goes to investigate, an assassination attempt on her life is made. She must then travel to a foreign land and enlist the help of a con artist in order to track down and save her husband. All I'm gonna say is I really like the twist on the damsel in distress. I love that the dude is the damsel in distress and that there's gonna be magic and wild dragons and lots of mythology and beasts, and I'm ready. Next up we have City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is from the Divine Cities series, which I've been hearing really good things about, and it features one of my favorite all-time tropes,
which are angry gods.
City of Bulikov once wielded the ancient powers of the gods and destroyed the deities themselves while also conquering the world. This book is described as a tale of vast conspiracies, dead gods, buried histories, and a gripping spy novel. I am sold. This is definitely one of the books that I'm the most excited about. Then we have the City of Brass series. Not even gonna describe what this book is about because so many of you already know I am always late to the party, but it's set in 18th century Cairo, which
Egypt, yes.
And involves an unassuming protagonist, Nahiri, who accidentally sets a Jinn warrior free. The covers for these books are so gorgeous, and I know that Lauren from the novel Rush is currently reading the latest one, which is like 619 pages, and I honestly don't mind my chunky monkey fantasy books as long as they are good and worth it. And this series totally seems worth it, so if you've read it, I would love to hear your thoughts and whether or not you think that I would like it. Wolflight by Yaba Bado is a YA fantasy from a Ghanaian British author. I haven't seen people talk about it, but it just looks so interesting. It tells the story of 3 protagonists who were all born in Wolflight, making them the sworn protectors of their native lands. But when sinister miners begin to plunder into their homes, they have to pull together their ancient magic and defy these intruders with their elemental powers. This book promises sacred sites, poetic writing, shape-shifting abilities, and it looks like there's gonna be some commentary on environmentalism. Ugh, I'm ready. And then we have Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is a book that I've heard literally nothing about. I don't even remember how I found out about it in the first place, but I want to read it so bad. This is a YA fantasy from a Latinx author about a people that lost everything when an usurper, I guess, resurrected a ghost, used a relic to resurrect a ghost. And because our protagonist, Ximena, is the last remaining bloodline of the ghost who was resurrected, it means that she is now plagued by extreme insatiable hungers. And for her strange ability to spin thread from moonlight. I think the tension in the story is that Ximena has to overthrow the usurper and then return the relic to its rightful place. And this book is inspired by Bolivian history and politics, but it's also described as a lavish tapestry of magic and revolution, and also a little bit of romance. And the fact that it centers Latinx culture, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I think this is definitely in my top 2. Speaking of books that center Latinx identity, I am really excited about Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I was pretty sure this was a YA fantasy, but now I'm hearing that it's in like an adult historical fiction. Basically, the Mayan god of death sends our protagonist on a harrowing journey where she has to encounter other gods and the jungle, and eventually ends up in the darkness of the Mayan underworld. Then we have another Latinx-inspired fantasy. I did not mean to group these all together, but birds of a feather. The next book we have is Nocturnal by Maya Motain. This is a YA fantasy. I believe it's gonna be a duology, but again, it is set in a Latinx-inspired world. In the story, a prince and a thief who can change faces have to work together to rectify the evil that they have unwittingly unleashed.
Take my money.
This next book comes out on September 12th, and it is Relic by Bronwyn Ellie. I don't remember how I found out about this book, but the cover absolutely blows me away. I think that it is so completely stunning. And it only has about 10 reviews on Goodreads, so I can't wait to get my hands on it and see what I think. But this is described as a dark fantasy and a retelling, and it centers dark magic, which is my absolute fave. So one of the characters is a servant to Lord Renard, who possesses one of 5 rare relics that protect his bloodline but slowly poisons everyone else around him. And so whenever the servant or the shadow succumbs to the magic of the relic, somebody else has to step up and take his or her place. Kaylon has been forcibly selected as the jewel's latest sacrifice, but when she discovers a plot to collect all of the artifacts and destroy them, she must choose between subservience and resistance. Then we have Daughters of Enry by Reni K. Amayo. I found out about this book only about a month ago, and I have just been head over heels so excited to get it in my hands ever since. I'm pretty sure it comes out in October or September of this year. This is going to be book 1 in a series, and it does come out on October 1st, and it's about 2 twins who are the descendants of gods who have been separated at birth and raised differently. And I love the separated at birth trope, but basically these girls must realize their powers and connect with one another and embark on a journey leading them back to themselves. Oh my god, first of all, the cover, like these 2 beautiful, dark-skinned black girls on the cover.
Black girl magic.
Ugh, so excited about that. I'm so excited for the representation of gods and deities and to watch these girls' character development and see what their powers are gonna be. I'm so excited. Then we have an adult book that's described as like a fairy tale retelling, magical realism, speculatism, and it's called Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord. Pama's husband is a man of many appetites. He is a fool and a glutton. When she finally leaves him, he attracts the attention of the Zombie, the Undying Ones, who present her with a chaos stick that allows her to manipulate the forces of the world. So this is like a contemporary novel that is inspired in part by a Senegalese fairy tale, and that is all I need to know. Then we have The Curse of the Chilean by Louis McMaster McGold. I think his name is Lois, but this is #1 in the World of the Five Gods series. Again, I'm loving all the gods. I'm loving it. I feel like gods have the most robust, ridiculous personalities and appetites, and I love how some authors like Madeline Miller can make them so personable, but also so deeply fearful. Our two protagonists have a sinister curse placed upon them, and the only way to lift it is to employ some of the darkest, most absolutely forbidden magic in the kingdom. But by using this magic, you trade your soul for a lifetime of damnation and death. That's not the greatest synopsis of this book. Reading the synopsis on Goodreads, it's so complex, I'm not even gonna try. All I'm gonna say is that, if y'all don't pick this book for me, I'm gonna be real mad. I'm gonna be real mad. Most importantly, this book has 28,942 ratings on Goodreads, 2,039 reviews, and it is over 4.5 star rating on Goodreads. That's insane. That is so unheard of, especially for an epic fantasy. Then we have The Tiger's Daughter by Kay Arsenault Rivera. This is part of a series brought to us by a queer Puerto Rican author, and I'm so excited to read it. It's got sapphic love, epic fantasy, and reading with Kelsey. Absolutely loved it. It's about a kingdom that has conquered every remaining land possible except for the nomadic tribes. This tribe is called the Korin, and it is up to the Korin's two strongest warriors that have been prophesied from birth to be the chosen ones to protect the land. So this features the chosen one trope, a coming of age, warrior princess, clans, all kinds of legendary and mythology woven into the story. Oh my god, I'm so excited to read this. And we have The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Heilig, and I really want you to let me know what your thoughts are on this book if you have read it, because it has gotten nothing. I mean, it's gotten not great reviews, but I'm still really curious to read it. Bad reviews do not necessarily turn me off to a book, especially if it's something that I want to read. It's about this girl named Nyx who has spent her entire life on a ship, and her father is this navigator who, as long as he has a map for it, he can sail to any time or place, real or imagined. So in this book, we get a lot of mythology, epic time travel, and there's a little bit of romance. This is another really under-reviewed book on Goodreads. It's called Lifestyle of Gods and Monsters. It comes out on October 20th of this year, and it's by author Emily Roberson. 16-year-old Ariadne's family is all over the news, especially because they host a TV extravaganza where Ariadne must lead 14 teens into a dangerous maze in order to kill a monster. The winners receive glory and the losers receive caskets. But when a boy named Theseus joins the ranks, everything changes for Ariadne. Yeah, so this is obviously super based off of Greek gods, but set in a modern setting, and I'm getting big Hunger Games, like Battle Royale vibes, which is freaking awesome. Then we have a People's Future of the United States speculation from 25 authors compiled by Victor Laval, who is my favorite writer of all time. In this collection, we have writers like Seanan McGuire, Justina Ireland, Tananarive Dwe, N.K. Jemisin, almost all who are very well known for their social commentary that intersects a lot with folklore and mythology and like magical realism. So I know there's going to be a lot of mythos woven into this anthology, and I know a lot of you don't like anthologies, but I absolutely love them. Then we have Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. Also, let me know if I'm saying her name incorrectly, but both of the covers that I've seen for this book, they put my heart in my throat, okay? And I'm intentionally not looking up the synopsis, but I do know that it involves African witch doctors and black girl magic.
And that's all I need to know.
This book comes out officially on September 3rd, and I know I'm going to be reaching for it very soon, which is why I just wanna go in and be surprised. Then we have Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. This is another book that y'all better put on my TBR or else. It's new adult magical realism. It came out last year. And not only is this cover so beautiful, but it's described as an eerie, watery reimagining of the Oedipus myth. I think the storytelling is going to be really interesting because our protagonist, whose name is Greta, is a lexicographer. She knows every word in the dictionary, even the words that the dictionary is supposed to have but doesn't. And I can't wait to see how that impacts the story. Also love mythological retellings. It's supposed to have found family. and conversations about gender identity and fluidity and fate and free will, and I'm ready. Then we have another little secret book on Goodreads. It's called Inkredia, and it's by Sarang Mahajan. And it follows a character named Luan who is one day randomly attacked by an enemy straight out of folklore. It sends him on a journey outside to the unknown world beyond his village, where he encounters legendary assassins and non-humans and the incredible empire of Inkredia. Oh my god, this is another book that you better put on my TBR or else. It is Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. First of all, the cover, I am swooning. This fantasy combines Latinxness and magic, centering the No Me Olvides family who have protected their family's ancient grounds for over a century. Now, these women have hidden their weakness, which is that if they fall in love too deeply, their lovers vanish. But when a strange boy appears in the garden who doesn't even know his own name, he and our protagonist Estrella must embark on an incredible journey of family, loss, and secrets. According to Goodreads, this has all sorts of LGBTQIA representation, including gender fluidity, and it is absolutely steeped in myth and magic. Then we have The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson, which is set in the 1400s. It's adult fantasy, magical realism, and we get a lot of mythology and legend surrounding this figure titled the Bird King. This book is basically about two characters who have to escape the oppressive Bird King's walls, one of whom can secretly draw a map of places he's never been or seen and literally bend the shape of reality. What's really interesting about this is that the book centers a time where the Western world and the Muslim world are not yet separated, so I'm really curious to see how that element is handled. And even though it has over 2,500 ratings on Goodreads, it still is close to a 5-star rating overall. Then we have a short little novella titled Monster of the Sea, and this is by Zeta Elliott. It is a YA fantasy novella.
And all I need to know are black mermaids.
Because it's a novella, I didn't read the synopsis, but the cover alone is so intriguing. I love the blue imagery, and I'm a mermaid stan. I actually really do love mermaids in books, and
I mean, I guess anybody who's mad about the Black Little Mermaid probably shouldn't read this book.
Then we have the Timekeeper series by Tara Sim, which Spencer of Common Spence raves about and has been trying to get me to read for so long. It's about a Victorian world controlled by clock towers. There's a lot of steampunk, there's male-male romance. It supposedly has snippets of Greek mythology while establishing its own gods and mythos for those gods. There's also The Last Namsar, which is a YA fantasy series that is just an absolute BookTube beloved favorite. And all I really know about this book is that there are dragons. Honestly, writers need to stop asking us what we want in fantasy books and just give us more dragons. Would you like a romance?
Nope, dragons.
Structured plot and world building?
Dragons.
Hate to love?
Hate to love with dragons.
Then we have Sea Fire by Natalie C. Parker and Sea Witch by Sarah Heading. Now I'm mentioning these books together because again, they are very popular on BookTube, or they were last year when I joined, and they're both Little Mermaid retellings. So again, I would love your thoughts on which of these books you think that I would like the most, if either of them. But there's something about these covers that I really, really love. I think I just really love blue imagery, and I love books that are set in the water, even though I am terrified of the ocean. Maybe that's why I like books that are set in the water. But Sea Fire features all-female pirates, and I think that Eric gets taken aboard this all-female crew and gets rescued by them instead of Ariel being kind of rescued and adopted by Eric in the original fairy tale. Oh my god, we are doing so well. I only have 6 books left before we get into the 4 physical books. So Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow, which is a YA fantasy. It's either a fantasy series or a trilogy, I'm not sure, but it's an East Asian retelling of the Evil Queen. Honestly, this is one of those books that I would read just based off of the cover alone. I love the imagery. I think that's also why I love the Serpent and Dove cover. There's something about a snake on the cover of a book wrapped around something that really draws my eye, and I think that probably says a lot about me as a person. In this book, we are following 18-year-old Zi Feng, who is destined for greatness. However, she will only be able to achieve this greatness if she does some unspeakable things. I believe that her sorcery is somewhat fueled by the ingesting of other people's hearts.
You love a hungry queen.
But this book has been out for a while. It came out, I think, in October of 2017, but that was before my time here on BookTube, so if you have any thoughts on it, please let me know. It does give me the monstrous vibes by Marjorie Liu and Sonnet Cecotto. This is my favorite graphic novel. Not of all time, but it's one of my top 3 favorites, and I'm about to get a tattoo from Monstrous, which I'm so excited. Anyway, this was literally just an excuse for me to show you one of my favorite comics. Then we have Map of Salt and Stars by Zen Jukadar, but it's historical fiction about 2 girls that are living 800 years apart, and I think they're connected by a map. One of them is a modern-day Syrian refugee, while the other in the past, a frickin' medieval adventurer and a map maker. Okay, I've noticed that a lot of these books have map themes in them, so maybe I should should do a reading vlog on like books that center around like a map and a quest or that sort of thing. Rawaya embarks on an epic journey across the Middle East and the north of Africa where she encounters ferocious mythical beasts, epic battles, and real historical figures. I'm dead. Love. One of my favorite tropes in books is when people go on a journey. I don't care where the journey is. I don't care how long the journey is. As long as you're going on a journey and you're crossing multiple lands and different landscapes and meeting different people and everyone has different accents.
Oh, we love.
Book number 31 is Beyond the Darken Shore by Jessica Leek. It is a dark YA fantasy, and it's a standalone. Also, I know I'm butchering like all of these authors' names. I just haven't heard many people pronounce these authors' names, so I don't know how to say them, and I'm really sorry. This centers Norse and Celtic mythology, which is a big yes, enemies to lovers, sibling love, and warrior princesses. It also has mind control, pagan visions, clansmen. I mean, not like the clansmen, but like men in a clan.
God, I hate racism.
I know the main character is going to have prophetic visions, and I'm so curious to see how that is handled in the book because I don't think I've ever read a book where the main character had visions. Have you guys? Has it? What books are there with characters who have visions? Then we have Skye in the Deep by Adrienne Young. I'm not going to describe this because it's literally everywhere and y'all are probably super sick of hearing descriptions of this book, but this is another one that centers Norse mythology. It features Vikings and it is historical fiction, which I love. I keep hearing it described as a fantasy, but I'm under the impression that there is no actual magic in this book, only mythology. This next book I would really love some input on if you've read it. It is the Ink series by Alice Broadway. This book has really beautiful covers. Some of my favorite covers that I've ever seen. It also has some of the worst ratings that I've ever seen. But I still have hope, you know? This book is loosely based off of Egyptian mythology, and in this world, everything that you do gets inked on your skin. So every positive or negative, big impactful moment in your life, whether it's good or bad, will show up on your skin. Protagonist's name is Liara, and when her father passes away, she prepares to make a skin book, which is kind of a record showing that he was a good man and he lived a good life. But when she, I guess, gets to his body, she sees that his skin has been edited, and she has to kind of go on a journey to figure out why his ink has been removed and why the book is incomplete. And it's one of those books where you learn things about your parents that completely change your perception of them. And in a way, it kind of sounds like The Astonishing Color of After in the sense of like going on a quest, a journey to kind of connect with your parent after they've passed. The last book on my Goodreads TBR is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Rachel from Rachel Marie Book Junkie raves about this book all the time, and all I really know is that it is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and it's got very heavy influences of Eastern folklore. So Rachel and I are very similar in our reading taste, especially in her love for kind of prose and really gorgeous writing. If you think that this is a book that I will enjoy, please let me know. Okay, so the last 4 books are gonna go pretty quick. The first one is, no surprise, it is Girls of Storm and Shadow, the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nung. I know a lot of us weren't thrilled about the way that Girls of Paper and Fire ended, but I trust Natasha with my life, y'all, and I feel like she had a reason. She had a reason for doing us the way that she did. So this book comes out officially in November, but in case you somehow have missed the news about Girls of Paper and Fire, it is a sapphic historical fantasy that features caste systems where people of the different castes are either human or demons or kind of like a hybrid of both. And it centers 8 girls who are taken to be consorts to the king until the girls start to fight back. Lei is our protagonist, and she falls in love with Ren, who is another one of the paper girls in the castle, but Ren is secretly this freaking badass assassin who is there posing on a mission to kill the king. And there was just so many things about Girls in Paper and Fire that I absolutely loved. It's like my new favorite fantasy series. Well, I can't really say that until I read this book, but I already have high hopes. I have a 5-star prediction for this, and I just can't wait. Oh, and I didn't even mention, it's based off of a lot of Chinese Malay lore and mythology. Then we have The Silver Witch by Paula Braxton. I'm supposed to buddy read this at some point with Brandy from Brandy's Books, who I love more than life itself. It's about this ceramic artist named Tilda who lives on a lake and is really devastated when her husband dies. Now, she's always been a little bit odd. Animals are drawn to her, electricity shorts around her, and she has these kind of strange visions.
Oh look, a book with a vision. Huh.
And then you find out that the lake that she lives on was the same lake that a Celtic witch used to live on years ago. She was respected and feared as both a witch and a shaman. There's a lot of ancient magic and death and deception in the story, and it's about these 2 women coming together and Tilda discovering her own magic. And I'm just really curious about this because I feel like that storyline is usually reserved for youth, not for married women or widows. So I'm really liking the idea that we're gonna have a kind of fantasy, witchy, magical book, but the protagonist is in her 30s. I feel like we have this very misguided idea that we just aren't gonna care about people that are over the age of 30 in books, especially fantasy. So I am personally really, really excited about this. Then we have The Night Tiger, which is about Ji-Lin, who is working as an apprentice to a dressmaker in order to pay off her mother's debts. But when she stumbles into a mirror world at work, her job becomes more than she bargained for. It also tells the story of an 11-year-old boy who has only 49 days to return his ex-master's severed finger to him in the underworld, or else his spirit will roam about forever in a state of unrest. Really curious about how these two characters' paths are gonna cross and what their relationship is going to look like. This book is supposed to be really creepy and feature a lot of ghostly imagery, and I love ghosts and like paranormal haunty things in books. And it also seems like there's gonna be a lot of like cultural beliefs that are set within the context of the story. So I'm really excited to see how all of the like culture and lore and mythology unwinds within this book, because it seems like it's culture and mythology that was created for the sake of this book. I don't know that for sure. I both love when books are based off of culture in our world and when books create their own culture for readers to kind of nerd out and fantasize over. This was really well done in The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Such an awesome job of creating lore and myths in the story that were believable and made you really understand the characters and why they thought the way that they did and were driven and motivated by the fears that they were driven and motivated by. And the last book is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho, which you have seen all over people's reading rush vlog, but this book is based off of Korean mythology of the nine-tailed fox, which I'm super excited about. Even though I've heard mostly bad things about this book, I think I'm gonna love it and I'm ready to love it. Again, it's got a purple and blue cover and I'm sure that has nothing to do with my hopes for it. Okay, that is it for this video. I'm gonna try and edit this down so that it's not an hour long, but please leave me in the comments section the TBR that you have chosen for me. Which of these 38 books should I prioritize reading first?
God, why couldn't I just pick 12 books and call it a day?
I just created this for Mythathon. I love mythology and I want to become more versed in being able to talk about different myths of different civilizations. And so I'm just really happy that y'all are as excited about Mythathon as I am. So even though this video was a lot, I'm really glad that I made it, and I hope that you might have found some books that you want to add to your TBR that you didn't even know about. All right, y'all, that is it for this video. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you would join my Dapper family. Feel free to hit that notification bell so that you never miss any content from Bow Ties and Books, or feel free to follow me on my Instagram where I post daily. Until next time, stay sharp, and I will see you in my next video, which I hope will be very short.